How to build your self-image and legendary story. You're going to want to pay attention to this video because if you grab onto some of the concepts, apply some of them, you're going to change your standards. You're going to be able to change the way money's coming to you. You're going to be able to change the things that are coming into your life by changing your standards, allowing yourself to get emotionally involved with something new in your life, some new result, a new concept, a new luxury living, whatever it is. If you change your standards, you change your life. Hey, Scott Haug here with the Manifestation Accelerator, where manifestations and results are made easy. In today's video, I'm actually going to show you a visual presentation about some unique things around self-image and some unique things around building a new story for yourself in your mind that will literally change the energy and what you believe to be true for your world. If you change this, as I've already mentioned, you change your standard, you're going to start to attract better into your life. Just before we jump into that presentation, throw a like on the video. It's going to send it out to a lot more people. Also subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon as well so you can get notified when we send out other great videos like this. I mean, this video right here is high value. It's taken and extracted from one of the programs and courses that we have that will literally put into action and a plan and visual ideas and knowledge that will really help your results start to increase, start to soar a little bit better, start to change and go from there. All right, so definitely watch this video over and over and over because you want to become the knowledge, not just know it. You want to just know about self-image, know about changing your internal story. You want to become it. You want to have a new self-image. You want to have a new thing because your standards are a direct reflection of either your current results or the new results that you are demanding from yourself. Very different story. Okay, let's jump right into it here. Take out your notes, have that ready, write some things down, take action on the material that I provide here, and let's start seeing your results soar. We've been crushing it so far in lesson 6. We've covered a very deep base of knowledge. We've covered all about our self-image, all about that creation is finished and everything's only to be manifested. And the greater version of you already exists within. We're just bringing it to the surface. Every module, every slide we go through in lesson 6 here. And this one's no different in this module, the legendary story we hold about ourselves. Whether we know it or not, the story that we believe is going to happen in the future is what happens to us. That's what we experience. And we covered most of that in module 6.2, and we talked about the self-image. We also called it the concept of ourself. As we move forward into this legendary story, the thing that we own, the new story, the future story, or for most people in this world, the past story, whatever our mind obsesses about and thinks about all day, every day, is what's going to become. This module is very, very important and also very, very fun because you're creating your new life script, as we call it. Let's get right into it with an overview. First one, the story of your life. Okay, where is your story being dominated from the past? Remember we talked about that briefly in lesson 5 about memory. Most people live in their kind of self-pity. Sometimes it's a little harsh truth, I know. But we all have stories of things that have happened to us in the past, right? So a lot of people are just dominating there with their thoughts and they never let it go and they always feel victimized, right? Where we understand we want to change those thoughts. What happened has happened. We want to harvest the good, and we'll go through that process, Michael Beckwith's process there. We want to harvest the good, we want to look for the good in it, and we want to let go of that and dominate our story in our mind, that story that we want. And everything will begin to change. And number 2, I'm going to show you how to create your new legendary story. We're going to dip back into the participant's guide and wrap that up. And number 3 are the complete action items for this module. So let's go into our transformation for lesson 6. Keep us up to date on where we are so far. Remember the first module, we went deeper into spirit and matter and Thomas Troward's work. Understanding that all things are only to be manifested. We also covered Neville Goddard. Second, module 6.2, we understood what the self-image is, and then we created the new self-image we desired to have, who we want to become from here on out. And third, 6.3, we create a new dominating story in our mind for what is to come. Now, as we always say in these transformation slides, we're not absolutely on the left side or on the right side, but we're trying to drift over to the right side as fast as possible. Feeling like you are somebody, feeling like you are successful, your highest version of who you can become. You're unleashing that ultimate person within. That's what this is all about. And as soon as you unleash all those thoughts and feelings to match who you really are, you get the results. to match who you really are, what you're deserving and worthy of internally based on your new thoughts and your new feelings and your new self-image that you believe to be true about yourself. So let's head right into the knowledge today. You're going to absolutely love it. It's the story of your life. Now, as you can see, just before we go into the slides here, you can see the content in the background are these kind of mythological creatures, dragons and creatures that people are beating and defending. Now, these are just symbols. We're not saying that your life is going to transform into one of these crazy stories and dragons are going to appear in your life and different things. Of course, that's not what we're saying here. But you do want to fantasize. Not fantasize about different creatures and things per se, but you want to dip back into the myths and the movies that you've loved throughout your life. Why do you love the movies that you love? Most times it's because you resonated with that main character. Maybe you loved the courage that they had within. Maybe you loved that they were inspiring. Maybe you loved that they were very romantic and that beautiful love story. Maybe that's what you love. Other people love epic adventures and thriller movies, right? So this is just a symbol for you to realize, whether you're that small person there or whether it's, a dragon you're facing in your ultimate story of legend and myth, we want to know that this is a symbol for something big, something legendary happening in your life. Let's go forward. This is a repeat slide from Lesson 5 on the memory and intuition. Okay, it's one of the last modules we cover in Lesson 5. Now remember what we said on the left side, in a current or old bad story about what happened years ago dominates their mind, most times out of self-pity, which is excessive self-absorbed unhappiness over one's own troubles. Okay. And on the right-hand side, we have the option. We can go on the left or we could go on the right. An old good story about what happened years ago or a new good story ahead dominates their mind. Most times out of choosing to let go their old story or old bad story so they can create a new one with new results. Okay. Remember, we already talked about this, so I'm not going to go too heavily into it, right? And we already talked about it at the very intro of this video. But what we want to do is start letting go. It is what it is of what happened in our life. Whether there's things that happened in your childhood that you feel, man, why did that happen to me? Or you felt victimized by certain things. Just remember that almost every person in this world has their own story. And we want to also remember that if we keep thinking about that and we keep owning that story as the only thing that exists in our life, that's what we're only going to experience in our life, is that victimhood, that feeling that we're always disempowered. On the right-hand side is where we want to go to. It is what it is and happen in our story. We never have to forget about our experiences. But we want to dominate our mind about who we want to become and what future we want to hold and experience moving forward in the next month, next year, 10 years from now. And as we start to form those good memories or those things that we create new story-wise, that's what starts to happen. Now, whether you choose left or right, that's the process that goes right in the subconscious mind. Whatever dominates your mind and you become emotionally involved about day after day is what you keep feeling. And what you keep feeling is the energy you keep giving out. And the energy you keep giving out is what keeps attracting to you. And ultimately controls all your behaviors and actions. As that becomes habitual, you're thinking about either the old story that has happened in your life or the new story that will unleash to and through you. It's by law. Whatever's in subconscious must come expressed in the physical experience. And the right-hand side arrows there you can see facing over to the left, right? That's the universe reacting and providing energy right back to you. We get to choose. And that's why we're doing these different things. We're changing our self-image. We're changing our story about ourselves because we ultimately get to choose. Sometimes we don't feel like we're always in control of our thoughts, but we can get more in control of our thoughts and dominate those thoughts on where we want to go. So all of life, remember we also covered this. We mentioned that all of life is pretty much just a collection of moments, experiences, memories, and combined feelings. We experience the concept of time in our life journey. Now here's where you really, really want to pay attention. It's your own life movie. When you think of life from that perspective, that it's your own life movie, we will come to find out that life is just like a movie, a mental movie. And you're the main star of the show and the main character, whether you believe that to be true or not. Here's the most important thing, probably one of the most important things you're going to listen to on this module. TV, YouTube, movies, TV shows, you name it, all train us to feel that someone else is always the one to be successful. Someone else is in the news, and of course in a positive way. Okay, someone else is hitting record numbers in sports. Think about it. When most people see celebrities, what we call quote-unquote celebrities in daily life, somebody they've watched on TV, maybe it's Denzel Washington, you love his movies, and you saw him in Hollywood when you visited there, or you saw him, wherever. They are so starstruck because they feel like that person is way more successful. They are somebody extraordinarily special and they're not special. Bob talks about this a lot. He says, people come up to me and they feel so anxious and they feel so nervous. He says, I'm a human being. I'm no different than you or I. I'm no different than this crowd of people that I'm speaking to right now. I am a human being. We often look to the other people saying they're the stars. They're the ones that are going to change the world. If you've ever been to professional sports, people feel it all the time. Stadiums packed with 50,000 people. And if you're on the top decks, you see the little players at the very bottom, and they look like they're the stars. We always go to see other people. And if you've never been the one to be in the center, you might not believe it to be true about yourself, that you are the light. You're also the star. I hope that hit home at some point. You just felt it. Maybe you've already heard this before and you got a reminder of it. Maybe you've never heard that before and put it in perspective. The most interesting and exciting part, third bullet point, guess what? You were always meant to be the one to shine your light and become the star. I don't mean movie star per se, but instead you are always the one to make a beautiful impact in this world and fulfill all your wishes. Okay? We want to remember that you're the one. It doesn't have to be somebody else. I say sports because it's very easy to, people go to sporting events all the time. They spend all Sunday watching football games. They spend all day watching games here, baseball games, you name it. Okay. Now, as kids and things, it's a little different. You're playing the sport. You are the star on the field, and you have some heroes on the on the Yankees or this, that, the other thing, right? That's what I used to have all the time. I love Derek Jeter. He's always my favorite player. Okay. But people still go through their adulthood, 45, 50 years old, and always feel like they're never meant to do anything big. We're going to change that if you do feel that way. And if you feel you're already going towards something big and you're starting to capture that feeling and belief within, let's multiply it. Point number 4, be the star of your own life movie. We must create and dominate our mind with a new story. One more empowering than ever before, and we call it My Legendary Story. Now, as we do this, we want to start to question what story is actually true. What you believe to be true about yourself. And I broke that word up for an important reason. Yourself and your life. Is that real? How true is the story you keep telling yourself? How true is the physical truth? Okay. These are really good questions to ask. We covered this very deeply in Module 6.2 with the self-image, but we want to cover it here as well. Most people have a self-image built on what other people believe to be true about them in childhood. Somebody else told them they were always the shy kid. Somebody else told them they were bad at math because of one thing that happened and their teacher saw that they got C in all their 2 exams in a row or whatever it may be. Other people may have said, you're always late, and joked about it. And most times family and friends never mean to, but they always pick out one thing that they joke about. It could be a physical feature, it could be a talent that you have in a good way, or it could be something you don't do in a very deserving way, like always being late. You're the one that's always late, for example. Okay. And as people say that over and over to you, guess what that is? That is an affirmation that you start to believe and consent to is true about you. Most times, it's total BS. Most times, it's a belief pattern that somebody else gave you. It might have been 10 people in your family and friends and society. It may have been one person at one time that has emotional impact to you. That's why people in relationships that aren't on a good sync level and always combating each other, it's the worst thing in the world. You are, every single time, you are affirming to that person a negative side of them, and it keeps happening. Okay? So, think. Some people choose the red. They see through their senses. Remember, the 5 antennae are on the top of their 5 senses. They see their current life, their business, their old same self. Okay, I know it sounds weird, old same self. But they say, you hear words all the time like, it's always been like this. I'm 60 years old and I've always been this way, so there's no way I could do something different. I've never been able to do this, so I can't do it. You hear it all the time. Think and really listen into the people around you, especially family and friends that you know very well. Sure, you know them very well and you probably can guess their habit patterns and things because most people never change in their entire life. Think about what they say. Ask them to do something out of the normal. Say, nah, I can't do that. I'm not this, I'm not that. And people will argue for their limitation. Sounds ridiculous, right? But we do it unconsciously. We just automatically will say those things according to our paradigm. Now on the right-hand side, other people, and that's us on this module, can choose the blue side. We could choose to think. We could choose about our desired life and business and new self. And we can now say, it's now like this. I don't care the way it's always been. I don't care who I've always been for the last 50 years or last 5 years. This is the way it's now going to be. And you choose to dominate that new thought pattern within, and that's what you choose to think about. You can go with the left or you can go with the right. As you do so, let's start to choose the left. The right-hand side with the blue. Let's choose not to go on this left. And let's go with the right-hand side with the blue. You start to think of all these thought patterns and you start to really think about it day after day, over and over. Same affirmation, same audio, same everything. You start to feel it's now like this. You start to feel like it is. It starts to become natural. You start to feel like you are that person. This is your new story, whatever it is. And you start to experience that desired life, business, and new self at that next level. As you keep thinking about it, maybe in the next 24 hours things don't change, but over the next month it will. Over time, things will start to begin to shift very, very quickly. So let's start to shift it. The main character, we've already defined the main character in a mental movie. That was your new self-image we created in Module 6.2. We've already covered that. That's basically a main character of your own movie. It's you. Second, now it's time to define your new story. We'll be taking time to create your new life script and putting together a beautiful new story for the future. Make it fun and exhilarating. Make this process fun, simple, and exhilarating, knowing that you're creating your life story throughout this program. And that's pretty powerful. Now, this new life story is something very similar to the vision that we covered in Lesson 1, bringing our purpose, our vision, and goal integrated together. But it's going to be more in the third person, more detailed about the actual story of your life and what that looks like. Let's go right into it. Creating your new legendary story.